So today, we're we want to talk about your agent program that you're running. So tell us, when you first started business, of course, it was a straight brokerage truck, mainly truckload. I know that from past experiences with you and everything, and eventually you did break into having freight agents. So explain to that how did that work into when that sort of thing.
So it was actually by accident and a poor business decision that I discovered the agent model. So what had happened was, we came out of the gate in 2010 and started moving freight, just me and my partner, started hiring some people. And then we got to the point where we said, hey, why don't we get someone else to do some sales? So we went to a headhunter, and the headhunter brought us two candidates. Candidate one was a $1 million a year gross sales broker. Candidate number two was a $2 million a year gross sales broker. And I said, we're still young. I don't know about $2 million. That's a lot of business that, we may not be able to handle. We should probably go for the $1 million broker. So we went for the $1 million broker, which that's a whole story over drinks later, but that, needless to say, they're not working for us anymore and haven't been for a long time. So we went back to the $2 million broker and said, you know what? Between ramping up and all that stuff that comes with a new employee, $2 million won't be a big deal. So we went, and by that time, 4 months had passed. Well, this $2 million broker ended up in an agent model himself. And he was working for one of the LTL companies, those consolidation LTL companies that you hear about.
Yes.
So he was working for them. He's like, hey, I think there's something here. Like, maybe I can introduce an LTL program to your company, and maybe I can be an agent for your truckload side, because these guys don't know how to broker truckloads. So I said, okay. And that's pretty much how I was born. It was a bad business decision that has now transpired into a good business decision by just not burning bridges and keeping in touch with people.
Nice.
And that agent is still our first agent to this day. He is still an agent for us.
And still going strong with you in the agent program then.
Yeah, still going strong, still able to provide some LTL pricing that I believe is wrapped up inside VLP, just the same.
How does it change when you're running a regular brokerage to when you start taking on agents? What are the differences in running the company, and what are some of the challenges that you see that are different than running just a regular freight brokerage?
So things to consider. One, first and foremost, the majority of us, I'm going to guess, on here are business owners of our own brokerage, right? So we all have certain egos. Your agents are going to have those egos just the same, right? They're business owners, and you have to treat them with that respect. They're not your employees. They are almost like counterparts. They're almost pseudo co-workers, if you will. But so you have to leverage that ego as well, or not so much leverage, but manage it. Don't let your ego get the best of you. Don't let their ego run you over either. At the end of the day, you are, pulling, switching the switches. That's always a challenge. One of the challenges, second challenge, is their customer base. They might have a different direction in which they want to grow their company or source their customers, and you may not agree with where they want to source their customers. Have processes in place operationally, as far as how do you do credit checks? How do you protect your receivables? Everyone can tell you that they've got chargebacks, right? If you, Henry, are an agent's customer and you don't pay $20,000 of your bill, and the agent says, "Oh no, what do I do?" And I say, "Well, you owe me $20,000," right? Every agent model is like that. The house doesn't lose kind of situation, like Vegas. Well, if that agent says, "I'll see you later," and they leave, and you don't have $20,000 of holdback, guess who eats $20,000?
Right.
So have a process in place. For instance, we have our receivables insured. So it's not a very big common thing. It's not a very cheap thing either, but all of our receivables are insured. So should everything come down to the point that the agent owes money and he or she leaves, I'm not really going to be left with holding much of a bag, which is great. Also, operationally, they might operate different. We're pretty detail oriented. My background of brokerage teaching is from the old American backhaulers model, which many might know, might not know, but it's what C.H. Robinson is today. They bought American backhaulers, perceived as one of the first mega brokers. So my upbringing is a mega broker mentality. And there's processes that they do to help ensure that you're not getting those late night phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
Those phone calls still happen, so you have to be prepared. One thing I have done personally is I actually have somebody between me and the agents, and she's my vice president of agent operations, and her name is Nancy. And I always commonly say when I'm talking to agents, we have a Nancy, the other people don't. Most agents have recruiters, and they've got people that will kind of hold your hand, but Nancy goes that step further, and she helps onboard the customer. She helps give scenarios. Why do you want or not want that produce customer versus that meat customer versus the lumber customer, whatever the case may be. But she's also staying up late at night. So selfishly, she's taking those calls if there's a lumber needed and we have to EFS some money versus the carrier just EFSing the money and then us paying them back. So she's my on-call person, and she keeps all the agents grounded, and she helps me continue to grow the company and do things that'll help both the home office and the agent model.
What I want to say is, like, so if you're running agents out there and you want to run agents, you can't, it's not going to be just like adding another employee. You're going to have, it's the same thing when you start growing your business and you go from 2 people sitting in an office to 5 people to 10 people. You have to have those layers of management that have to come as you grow.
Yeah, to give you, I wrote down some dates because we've been doing it for a while. Our first agent came on in 2013, and Nancy came on in 2016, at least according to my HR records. But the agent model for those 3 years was pretty stagnant. It was, just that guy. I think I had 1 or 2 other guys that just came and went, nothing substantial. But then Nancy came and she organized me, and she got processes more structured. And then it was, to the stars at that point.
When you have those type of agents calling, okay, and they don't have a good book of business, but they seem like they're going to be the hardest workers in the room. Do you turn them away? What do you do?
It really depends. So a few of my higher performing agents, they had 0 book of business. They sold me at their history. They sold me at just their drive. It's not a risk I take often because we put a lot of effort into bringing them on. It's not a lot of expense. It's more time, right? Nancy will pour a ton of time into the training. She's made videos, how-tos, everything, right? So when they fizzle out, we've got a lot of time wasted that we could have allocated towards productive agents. So we've kind of reduced how many agents we bring on without a book of business. However, actually one of our agents has a sub-agent model, and which is really cool. And you've been very helpful with that as well. These sub-agents will come on that have 0 book of business, and they will get their come-ups with him. And then what happens is when they hit certain thresholds, they just migrate over to me as an agent. And that way their customers aren't filling out new credit applications. Nothing changes on the billing perspective, but they achieve their goal, which is to become a self-sustained agent. So, we work inside VLP with secondary branches that helps allocate their book of business so we can keep track of it better. And it keeps everything organized. But we do have a process to go from 0 to hero at this point.
Right. Yeah. So just so everybody knows, so you might know in VLP, you see the branch and / agent numbers in there. And what we're talking about there is we've been able to work with business to business on being able to move some of that data from a sub agent to a real agent numbers, when they graduate to that level. But the software will handle the regular agents, but we can move that data around. And that's also where how we've been able to do the multi-company that we just got started this last year, where we can actually run individual companies underneath VLP, whether they're, in separate books.
The security functionality. Another thing that has helped sell the agent program is what programming did at FMS in regards to the branches. So in your branch number, there were securities put in place for business to business that allows us to lock down everybody who should be locked down from seeing everybody else. So an agent can't see another agent. However, given my business model where we have sales agents, where my branch, my home office moves their freight, additional securities are put into place inside VLP that allows my people to see those branches specifically and only those branches. So they still don't know what these people do over here, but they know what these people do, and they can see it because they're supposed to. And but vice versa, these people in the middle cannot see home office freight. They only see their own freight. Again, from a supplemental standpoint, if your brokerage business is just having a little lull, if a customer's slow, what if you unfortunately lose a customer due to some contract negotiations outside of your control, the agent model can help supplement that. Not only that, agents can bring you additional carriers. They can bring you additional ideas, but it's not flipping a switch, right? It's not just saying I'm going to have an agent because I've got a brokerage and it's got an established MC and credit's good. One, what does your line of credit look like? Do you have enough cash to carry those customers? At this point, my agent model is bigger than my home office model. So it takes a lot of cash because agents don't want to hear that you can't pay them on Friday, and they get paid weekly over here based on invoice date, but I don't get paid until I get paid. So we are carrying a lot of cash between paying the carrier and paying the agents. So you got to be prepared for that financially. Have the software ready. I mean, just, when I say software, I mean all sorts of software, not just VLP, but be using VLP to its full extent. Everything that it does, every partner that Henry's integrating with, have it in use, know how to use it, and because it's going to protect you. And then lastly, going back to the financial side, if you're not doing this already in this day and age of electronic banking, make sure your bank accounts are protected with ACH fraud alerts, check fraud alerts. They call it positive pay. If any ACH or any check hits our account that is not recognized by our uploading, it will flag those checks.
What changes? I mean, how does your agent program look in the future? Are you trying to grow it? Are you keeping status quo? If they come in, are you trying to sell to agents? I mean, are you guys doing any of that, or do you plan on it?
Yeah, no, definitely plan on ratcheting it up. I had a great prospector of agents back in the day. He unfortunately made an app in the restaurant and bar hospitality industry that took off, and then he took off with it. So he doesn't recruit for me anymore. But we are trying to ratchet that back up. I do have another recruiter at this point who is going to be actively bringing me agents. I'm personally going to try to get out there a little bit more and attract the agents. I think we have a really robust model. I think it competes with all the big people that you hear about, the LDIs. Landstar is a slightly different agent model because they deal with assets as well. But we compete with all the big boys at this point in regards to an agent model. I think we have a better offering overall.
Right.
So I plan on leveraging that. But no, I'm not satisfied where I'm at. I want to grow more. So we're actively recruiting.
Awesome. Well, way to go. And I know business has enjoyed, really nice growth over the last, 8-9 years here. And it's just, congratulations on that.